Okay, so these are going to be the solutions to that packet that I gave out. I'm going to give you the answer for each one in advance, so if you got it right, you could just skip over the solution. So for number one, the answer was C. This was the problem, and it should have just been this over this plus C. Okay, because remember that there was a rule. It says if you have the integral of cosine ax dx, that is going to be sine ax over a plus c. Okay, let's go to number two. Okay, so you cannot substitute 0 in there because you'll get 0 in the denominator. So you're going to have to factor out the numerator and denominator. And when you do, you get this. And once you do that, you can cancel these x cubes. And now you can substitute the 0 in there. And you get this. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the answer in advance. It was D. Okay, this is number 3, and the answer was C. This is a continuity problem, so the first thing you're going to want to do is f of 2. You're going to use the first function. And when you do that, you should get (4 minus 6 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 9 is 7. Then you're going to do the limit as x approaches 2 from the left side. So we're going to use the top function for that, but you already know that that equals 7. Then you're going to do the limit as x approaches 2 from the right side, which will be the second one, which is kx plus 1. So if you put 2 in for x, you get 2k plus 1. So the only way that this function is going to be continuous is if this thing is equal to this thing. And that's because this limit from the left side was the same as f of 2. Okay, so we're going to say 2k plus 1 equals 7, 2k equals 6, and k equals 3, which is choice C. Okay, for number 4, the answer was B. This is just a simple derivative problem, so first you're going to rewrite it as this. Bring that 3 out, and then it's just going to be a chain rule. Bring down the 3, keep the inside. 3 minus 1 is 2. The derivative of the inside is that. So if you simplify to get it to match, you have a negative and a 12, sine 4x, and then a cosine squared 4x. And that was choice B. Okay, for number 5, the answer was C. So we're looking for relative min, so that means we have to take the derivative and set it equal to 0. And then we can divide each term by 6. Factor. You get 2 answers. Okay, so we're going to make a wiggle graph. Okay, so if you try f prime of negative 2, you will get a positive number. If you do f prime of 0, you get a negative number. And if you do f prime of 3, you will get a positive number. Okay, so let me just change colors for a minute. Okay, so at negative 1 it was increasing and then decreasing. So there would be a max. And at 2 it was decreasing, then it was increasing, so there would be a min. So this one's a max, this one's a min. And we're supposed to be looking for a min, so it's going to be right here when x equals 2, and so that was choice C. Okay, for number 6, the answer was B. So we need an equation of the tangent line, so I'm going to start here. And we were told that x equals 1. So in order to find y, I'm going to plug that into the original function. And when I do, I'm going to find that y is equal to 2. Okay, so all I need is the slope. So the slope is going to be a product rule. I'll do it in a different color. You know what, I think we need more room than that. I'll do it over here. So I'm going to get the first times the derivative of the second, which is just 1, plus the second times the derivative of the first, which is a chain rule. Bring down the 5, keep the inside. 5 minus 1 is 4, and then the derivative of the inside is 2. Okay, and x is 1, so we'll do y prime of 1. And when you substitute 1 into there, you're going to get 21. So now you can go back to this part right here and substitute 21 for m. That wasn't a choice, so we're going to have to simplify. And then we're going to add 2 to both sides. And that is choice B. Okay, for number 7, the answer was A, and this is u substitution. So you're going to let u equal radical x. Don't forget that that's the same thing as x to the 1/2. So that means that du is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 dx. And if we write that a little neater, we're going to get this. Okay, so when you look at that, you're going to notice, hopefully, that you have a square root of x on the bottom, so that matches that, but you have that annoying 2 there, so in order to get rid of that 2, you're going to have to multiply both sides by 2, and when you do, you'll get this. Okay, so now, just looking for another color. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite my integral, and I'm going to get rid of this radical x on the bottom and a dx. So this has a radical x on the bottom and a dx, and I'm switching it for 2 and a du. And that leaves me with e to the radical x, but radical x is u. So the antiderivative of e to the u is just e to the u. And now I'm going to go back and replace the u for square root of x. And the answer is A. Okay, for number 10, the answer is D. D as in dog. Okay, so for this one, we're looking at asymptotes, and so you were given this. That's a 12. Okay, so I would say start at the vertical asymptote. So you know that a vertical asymptote occurs when the denominator equals 0. So when does x squared plus b equal 0? Well, if you look at the picture, you can see the vertical asymptote is at x equals 2. So I can put 2 in for x, and I get b equals negative 4. So we're supposed to be solving for a and b. So I know now that b is negative 4. Okay, now horizontal asymptotes, let me just go to a different color. occur when you look at the numerator and denominator for the highest degree. So you can see that the highest degree is in both the numerator and the denominator. And therefore, you would take the coefficients. So the coefficient of the numerator is a. The coefficient in front of the denominator is 1. Right, there's an invisible 1 there, so you're going to get a over 1. But you know, because if you look at the picture, that the horizontal asymptote is at y equals 3. Here it is right here. So I know that a has to equal 3. So a is 3 and b is negative 4, and therefore the answer is D. Okay, the answer for number 11 was B as in boy, and that we're just looking for the slope when x equals 1. So this is going to be a quotient rule. So it's the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom, which is just 1, over the bottom squared. Okay, and then you're just going to plug 1 in wherever you see an x. So you're going to get this. Whoops. Okay, so if you simplify, 1 plus 1 is 2. E to the negative 1 is just 1 over e. And then you have a negative there. Put it in front of the 2. Minus 1 over e. And 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So I'm just going to erase on the top, just to give ourselves more room here. Okay, so I have a negative 2 over e minus 1 over e all over 4. So the denominator is the same, so negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. And this is all divided by 4. So I'll change that to multiplication. And I get negative 3 over 4e, choice B. Okay, for number 12, the answer was D, as in dog. So you need to get back to the original, and this is the derivative. So we're going to do the antiderivative of 2 over x. If you want, you can pull that 2 out. And hopefully you know that the antiderivative of 1 over x is ln x. So that means that y equals 2 ln x plus c. Okay, but what do we know about y? That's given right here. That when x is radical e, y is equal to 5. So now all we have to do is solve for c, and once we do that, we'll come back here and replace it. Okay, so how am I going to do that? I'm going to change this radical e to e to the 1/2. Then I'm going to use that rule, we have logarithms that says you can take this exponent and bring it to the front of the log. So when you do, you're going to get 1/2 times 2, which is just 1, and that's going to leave you with ln e plus c. But hopefully you remember that ln e is equal to 1. This is a non-calculator part of the test, so you have to know that ln e equals 1, and then you'll get that 4 is equal to c. So now I'm going to go back over here where I put the star, and I'm going to get y equals 2 ln x plus 4. But the question wants to know what is f of e. So I'm going to put e wherever I see an x. Okay, again, ln e is equal to 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 4 equals 6, choice D. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, and more will be coming later.